10 old cars that were built to last forever. The machines that refuse to die. Some machines are born to serve. Others are born to survive. And then there are those rare few that refuse to die. No matter how much time, mileage, or neglect you throw at them. They don't care about trends or technology. They don't chase luxury or speed. They were built in an era when quality wasn't a marketing slogan. It was a religion. These are the cars that defied decay. The ones still roaming the earth when generations of newer models have long turned to dust. We're talking about mechanical immortality. Machines so overbuilt, they outlasted their creators. Tonight, we look at 10 cars that were built to last forever. You're watching The Gear Age. Subscribe now and join the movement that refuses to let history rust. Number 10, Mercedes-Benz W123, 1976 to 1985. When Mercedes built the W123, they didn't build a car. They built a monument to over-engineering. This machine wasn't designed for customers. It was designed for eternity. Everything about it screamed excess precision. The door shut like a bank vault. The metal was thick enough to make modern crash structures blush. Engineers at Stuttgart literally doubled material thickness in critical areas just because they could. The result? Cars so tough they're still working as taxis across Africa, the Middle East, and South America, 40 years later, with 500,000 miles or more. The diesel engines, especially the OM617, became legends. No turbos, no electronics, just simple mechanical injection. You could fill them with poor quality fuel and they'd still purr like German clockwork. Mercedes lost money on every W123 they sold. They didn't care. They built a car to prove what happens when accountants are locked out of the room. And when the apocalypse comes, there will be cockroaches and W123s. Number 9, Honda Accord, 3rd generation, 1986 to 1989. While the rest of the world cut corners, Honda engineers doubled down on perfection. They obsessed over everything, from screw threads to hinge resistance, like monks polishing a sacred relic. The 3rd-gen Accord wasn't fast, but it was immortal. It ran clean, shifted smooth, and refused to age. The engines were simple, the transmissions reliable, and the build quality bordered on spiritual discipline. Mechanics around the world called them forever cars. You could abuse them, neglect them, drive them through dust and chaos. They'd just keep going. In Ghana, they're still used as taxis. In Cuba, they're prized like heirlooms. Some owners have hit 400,000 miles with little more than oil changes and faith. The car didn't just transport people, it transported Honda's philosophy. Do it right the first time, and you'll only have to do it once. Number 8, Jeep Cherokee XJ, 1984 to 2001. This wasn't an SUV. It was an act of rebellion against fragility. The Jeep Cherokee XJ looked like a box. It was built like a tank made of that box. Its 4.0-liter inline-6 engine was practically unkillable. A design so tough that mechanics joked it could run on anger and motor oil fumes. The unibody chassis gave it rigidity, strength, and agility that body-on-frame rivals could only dream of. Postal workers, off-roaders, and survivalists all agreed. The XJ didn't care what you threw at it. Mud, snow, water, bullets, it survived it all. There's even an entire cult, the XJ Mafia, devoted to these machines. They've seen Cherokees cross 500,000 miles, get rolled, rebuilt, and still come back for more. It's not just a car. It's a badge of defiance against everything fragile. Number 7, Ford Crown Victoria, 1992 to 2011. Ask any cop or cab driver what immortality looks like, and they'll point to the Crown Vic. Built on a truck-grade frame with a lazy 4.6-liter V8 that barely broke a sweat, this sedan was America's indestructible workhorse. You could crash it, chase criminals in it, idle for hours, or jump curbs at 60 miles per hour. It didn't care. Police departments used them, taxi companies abused them, And when both were done, ordinary people bought them and kept driving for another 200,000 miles. Some Crown Vics are still patrolling city streets, long after their replacements gave up. Ford killed the model in 2011, but police departments stockpiled them like sacred artifacts. Why? Because once you've driven something that never dies, everything else feels temporary. Number 6. Volvo 240, 1974 to 1993. If the word durability had a mascot, it would be the Volvo 240. A box on wheels, a rolling tank, the most honest car Sweden ever built. The 240 wasn't beautiful, but it was bulletproof. The B21 and B23 engines were so overbuilt that Volvo engineers tested them by running without oil until they seized, then redesigned them so they wouldn't seize next time. It was safe before safety was cool. Crumple zones, reinforced cabins, 3-point belts. Volvo invented the playbook everyone else copied. Owners brag about hitting 500,000 miles. Some have passed 1 million. The seats? Still comfortable. The heater? Still works. The reliability? Eternal. If civilization collapsed tomorrow somewhere in Scandinavia, a Volvo 240 would still start. Number 5. Toyota Pickup Hilux, 1979 to 1995. If the apocalypse had a mascot, it would wear a Toyota badge. The Hilux, or simply Toyota Pickup, is the single toughest vehicle ever mass-produced. Top Gear tried to destroy one. They drowned it, burned it, dropped it, and blew it up. It still started. With hand tools. That's because Toyota's engineers treated good enough as an insult. Every weakness found in testing was redesigned. Every component had to survive abuse far beyond what owners would ever inflict. The 22R and 22RE engines were marvels of simplicity. Iron blocks, timing chains, minimal electronics. They worked in deserts, jungles, and war zones. UN convoys, farmers, rebels, everyone trusted them because they never broke. In places where cars are born to die, the Hilux is eternal. Number 4. Chevrolet Suburban, 1973 to 1991. Before SUVs were status symbols, they were tools, and none did the job better than the old Suburban. This wasn't a car, it was a 4-wheeled bunker. Built on a heavy truck frame with engines that could pull trees from the ground, the Suburban became America's unsung workhorse. Farmers, construction crews, and oil workers drove them into the ground. Except they never reached the ground. The steel was thick. The transmissions were ancient but indestructible. Even today, you'll find 70s Suburbans running on ranches with 500,000 miles and original drivetrains. It's the kind of machine you don't retire. You hand it down. Number 3. Cummins-powered Dodge Ram, 1989 to 1993. When Dodge dropped a commercial-grade Cummins turbo diesel into a pickup, they didn't just build a truck. They created mechanical folklore. The 5.9-liter 12-valve Cummins was rated for 1 million miles in industrial use. In a pickup, it was overkill of the most glorious kind. These engines ran on anything that burned. They pulled mountains without complaint. The rest of the truck could rust away and the engine would still fire up, unbothered. Owners began buying junked Rams just to harvest the engines. A 12-valve Cummins became a legend, a symbol of mechanical eternity. Proof that sometimes the most unkillable thing in the world is also the loudest. Number 2. Mercedes-Benz W126 S-Class, 1979 to 1991. Before luxury became about screens and software, Mercedes built it out of steel and silence. The W126 wasn't just an executive car. It was the physical embodiment of German perfectionism. Every door closed like a symphony of weight and precision. The paint was applied in multiple layers, deep enough to survive decades. The interior materials aged like fine wine instead of plastic. Underneath, the engines were so meticulously balanced they could idle with a coin standing on edge. They ran forever, quietly, gracefully, flawlessly. Mercedes actually lost money building the W126. But they didn't care, because this wasn't built for profit. It was built for legacy. And today, in remote parts of Africa, W126s still glide down dusty roads, their three-pointed stars shining through the decades like defiant halos. Number 1. Toyota Land Cruiser 60 Series, 1980 to 1990. At the top of the list sits the legend, the Toyota Land Cruiser XJ60 and XJ62. The vehicle so reliable, the United Nations used it to reach the ends of the earth. Its straight-six engines, the 2F and 3FE, were slow, heavy, and unstoppable. No computers, no electronics, just iron and trust. Every system, from the gearbox to the cooling, was designed to survive deserts, mountains, and wars. They've crossed continents, survived gunfire, and carried hope into disaster zones. In places where life itself hangs by a thread, you'll find a Land Cruiser running quietly, as if it too understands that quitting isn't an option. These trucks didn't just outlast their owners, they outlasted their era. And decades later, they still set the standard for indestructibility. So there you have it, 10 machines that refuse to die. 10 reminders that sometimes the best engineering comes from passion, not profit. Because while the world keeps chasing what's next, these cars keep proving that timelessness was already achieved. This is the Gear Age, where stories of steel and spirit never stop running. Subscribe now and keep the engines of history alive.